Diets and workouts, you've done the work, so why can't you get to your goal weight? That's because up to 70% of your weight is predetermined by your genetics. So while you've been told that it's all about your willpower, you're actually fighting your biology. Don't do it alone. Found's Doctor Design program uses medication as part of a treatment plan that targets your body's unique biological needs, so that your body works with you and not against you. Take the quiz at joinfound.com to see if Found's weight loss program is right for you.
The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
Welcome to the Powercat Podcast, GoPowercat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Now, here's your host, GoPowercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the first Postgame Powercat Podcast, versus the Powercat Postgame Podcast of the 2023 season. A little change in how we're doing our postgame stuff. Cole Carmody and I will essentially have a reaction podcast after each game. And then on Mondays, we're going to go back in depth with our new podcast, The Insiders. It's a revised version of a former podcast. This one will be done live on YouTube, and our good friend Brian Hanley, our football analyst, one of our football analysts at Go Powercat, will be on that cast. Is it a cast, Cole?
It's a cast.
Along with our friends Tim Everson of the Manhattan Mercury and Glenn Kinley of many TV stations in Topeka, just not the one I work for. It's a little weird.
There's like 3 of them.
Yeah, it's incredible. But no, we're going to do that every Monday. That will be live 1:30 Central on our YouTube channel. So we're getting more and more into the video version of podcasts, but this is only us talking, because after a long day, we're too hideous to be put on camera. Cole, K-State wins 45-0. I said in my walk and talk, they kind of checked every box they needed to check in this game. This was as perfectly played out for Kansas State as Chris Kleiman could have ever wanted.
It was just pure marching to the beat of their own drum. Anything they wanted to do, they did. I mean, it really felt like at times that everything was on the table, and that was evidenced by the pass from Trayshawn Ward. I think, as our own Michael Goins put it so elegantly, he might be in the running for quarterback number 2 now. Yeah. But yeah, it was fun to watch. I don't remember a K-State season opener that was as dominant as that game. And I'm sure there's been scores that might maybe have been a little bit more lopsided. 45-0 is obviously very lopsided. But, I mean, that was utter dominance against a team that is supposed to be a really good team. This was a team to pick to finish first in their conference.
Right.
So this is no slouch of an FCS team.
I mean,
they're supposed to be pretty good.
They're going to be a playoff team unless things go horribly wrong at the FCS level. And some people think that might be like a semifinal level team. If that's true, K-State's really good because they absolutely manhandled that team from the get-go. They had negative rushing yards almost the entire game until they got over the hump at the end with 6 positive yards total out of 26 carries or something. It was unbelievable. They just throttled that SEMO offense and didn't give them much opportunity in any part of the game. They had a Will Howard interception he threw when he was hit as he released the ball. I guess the one thing, and I don't want to put Carver Willis on blast here, but maybe that's the one thing that didn't go quite as well as they hoped. He had some struggles in his first start at right tackle with Christian Duffy out. We still don't know how long Duff's out. It's not season ending. But I think next week against Troy, we're going to see Cooper Beebe at right tackle the entire game unless they get away from Troy and put in subs. They can't. He got his quarterback hit right at the knees. Just a free shot. You can't do that, man.
No, and you know, it sucks because for Carver Willis, I actually thought he performed fairly well in the run game. But as an offensive tackle, you need to be able to pass block. And to me, he broke the cardinal rule of an offensive lineman, especially an offensive tackle: never let the immediate threat go by in order to get the secondary threat. In this case, the immediate threat, they ran a twist on that particular play on the interception. The defensive end came in, slanted inside to the inside gap, and the defensive tackle, it might have been a linebacker, I think, went around the end. He went for the end, and you had Taylor Potier, who was double teaming the nose guard, and defensive end had a clear shot right at Will Howard, which caused him to have a not very good throw. It was like a triple coverage, I think, trying to force it to Ben Sinnott. Fitz, I turned to you. We were sitting up in the press box, and I go, I have a feeling we're going to see Cooper Beebe at right tackle.
And he did.
And he came out the next series.
But they did put Carver back in later in the game, and he did better. I mean, he just hasn't played much.
And that's exactly it, right? Like, I asked Chris Kleiman after the game, maybe not necessarily trying to get him to talk about a certain player, but development, you know, it's you can evaluate and practice all you want, but he said it after the game. Those game reps are so important for evaluation. And if they didn't know what they had in some of these guys before tonight, I think they have an idea, both good and bad, of who is going to start to fit in the rotation. And if there's one major takeaway for me after the game, it's that they're going to figure out who is going to fit in that rotation and who is going to play consistently, because how many guys did they play tonight? Would they say upwards of 70? Is that right?
That's incredible.
I mean, they have an idea now who's going to be contributors and who's not.
It was... They got everything done they wanted to get done. There's no doubt about it. They saw a bunch of players. They played double digits, true freshmen. Folks, this true freshman class is maybe the most impactful recruiting class in K-State football history, in immediate impact. They didn't just play because they were up. They played because they're all contending for playing time. It was impressive what we saw from some of these true freshmen, but I guess we'll just jump into it now. Avery Johnson is clearly the number 2 quarterback. Jake Rubley didn't see the field. That was the one thing that surprised me in this game. Avery Johnson got every snap that wasn't Will Howard's and looked pretty damn good. In
an alternate universe where Will Howard doesn't exist, and it's Jake Rubley and Avery Johnson, Avery Johnson's the starting quarterback. And there's no questions asked. And I would even say if there's an alternate universe where there's no Will Howard and maybe Adrian Martinez is a year younger and he's brought in, Avery Johnson's probably the starting quarterback. There is probably one quarterback in this entire conference, maybe two if you want to throw in Quinn Ewers. I really, truly believe that Avery Johnson could start at almost any other school in this conference.
Yep.
And I don't even think that's hyperbole. The way the game came easy to him, it was remarkable, Fitz. Like, the way he's able to escape the pocket and make things and sidestep a defender, and it was just like, that's no big deal.
Yeah, he's just so cool. Call him for, I mean, the stats, 3 or 4 passing, 55 yards, along a 24, which was to a fellow freshman, right?
Trace Spivey.
Yep. And thank you. And his rushing was, where are you there? Oh, God, he had the 3rd most carries on the team. He's way up there. 5 carries for a total net of 32, along a 15, and a touchdown. And he could have had another touchdown, but he stepped out of bounds. I've been saying this. The quarterback room is the best it's ever been at Kansas State. And I think it's clear now. I think it's absolutely clear that they're set up for success. Now the question becomes, do they try to redshirt him or do they just play him? I'm hearing conflicting information on this, that they still really want to redshirt him and that Jake Rubley will slide into the role of helmet pops off guy. And Avery Johnson will slide into the Will Howard rule of last year, where if the number 1 guy goes down with a serious injury, you're coming in. I don't know how they're going to do it. With the kid I saw, you can't keep off the field.
You can't. You cannot keep him off the field, and he is a game changer. And I'll just say this. We've seen these formations that some of these teams have ran out, and I'll use Kansas as an example where they have Jason Bean come in and Jalen Daniels in the game at the same time. If Jason Bean, if they feel like he's that much of a difference maker to where he can come in and have a role like that, imagine the kind of role that Colin Klein would come up with for Avery Johnson. I mean, this is a freak of an athlete. Not only is a freak of an athlete, but he's a freak of a quarterback as well. If they're willing to run halfback passes with Trayshawn Ward, I just have images of the diamond formation with both Will and Avery in the game at the same time, and using Avery as a running back, using Avery as a quarterback, and Will as a decoy. There's so many things that you could do, and I know people don't like playing 2 quarterbacks, and I agree that playing 2 quarterbacks doesn't necessarily work. But when you have an athlete like Avery Johnson who is at your disposal, he's not a quarterback. He's an athlete who can throw the ball, and that's how you need to use him.
Okay, so one of the things that jumped out at me is they called a trick play in this game. And they didn't need to. Colin Klein is an understudy of Bill Snyder. Now, he played Snyder 2.0. Snyder 1.0 in the earlier years would put stuff on film to make everyone prepare for it. He would intentionally put stuff on film knowing damn well he wasn't going to use it again, but he was eating up their practice time with it. You put Avery Johnson in this game. He's obviously a very effective runner. He might be the Wildcat, and in game 1, they established if Will Howard splits out, he can be a receiver. He's not just he's just not in a body out there. Will Howard's is 6'5", 240 pounds. He's built like a tight end. He said after the game he plans on sticking with quarterback, but he can catch the ball. So I almost felt like it all tied together at the end of the day. We're going to put this on film. This play works in practice. We got it done. Will Howard can catch and run. It's there on film. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Will Howard was very good. He's got a whole nother gear. I mean, right out of the bat, the first play of the game or first pass of the game, it kind of breaks down. The ball gets tipped. It's still completed, but it gets blown up for a loss. But he was 6 of 6 on that first drive. And there he is. I mean, we haven't even heard much from him through the course of camp. I'm just dumbfounded that Jaden Jackson had the first touchdown of the season. Nobody had that. No, nobody had that on their bingo card.
No.
That I mean, he ended up with 2 catches, both on the first drive.
Yeah.
And then he just disappeared. It was really funny, but he got his touchdown. Keegan Johnson did not play. Now, I know there's rumors out there. He transferred in from Iowa and Iowa State. They've got a lot of gambling stuff going on through their attorney general's office up there with players caught. There's no indication, folks, that this is related to that. Chris Kleiman said he had said earlier in the week that he was dinged up, and apparently he aggravated it again in practice. He was at the Tuesday press conference, and I'm telling you, if he was suspended, he would not have been at that Tuesday press conference.
Right.
There's just no way. So I think that can be shot down, and I think there was a sense, though, that for the most part, they were just going to save him for next week. Yeah. And you know, it's kind of funny. We knew the guys that were dinged up, Uso, Daniel Green, who am I forgetting? Seth Porter.
Porter, yeah.
And they all played.
Yeah.
And it was a guy that we thought would play that didn't play. But they didn't need him. They were impressive. There was, what we've got, about 11 receivers here.
Yeah.
And, well, of course, Will Howard's one of the 11 on the receiving stats. But just absolutely amazing. But one more shout out here as we talk about the offense, TJ Giddens. 15 carries, 128 yards. He averaged 8.5 yards a carry, had a 43 long. The kid just pounds away. Look, Trayshawn Ward's obviously really good. He's fun. He had a touchdown. He barely had 2. But he was ruled down. It's a horrible call. That line judge was always marked everything short the entire game. It was really weird. I think next week we'll see more Trayshawn Ward. I think they kind of kept him bottled up a little bit. They didn't need to show everything they can do with him, and they just let DJ pound away. But they're a good combo. I look, nobody's replacing Deuce Vaughn, but the production, they had 228 yards rushing tonight.
So let me ask you this.
They're fine.
26 carries for 228 yards rushing. Deuce Vaughn can definitely do that. But I don't know how many times he ran for 26 carries and 228 yards in his K-State career.
I mean, Avery had 32 of it, and, you know, there's 44 of it belongs to other people, but it's still, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he don't want
the production is there.
Yeah.
Right.
The production's there. I'm just still laughing at Trayshawn Ward. 1 of 1, 8 yards, a TD pass.
I think the thing with Trayshawn Ward, and shout out to my dad for this comment, because we all have that person that we text during the games, and for me, it's my dad. It's kind of something we've done ever since I've been a kid. We like to watch football together, and he texts me, and he's like, "I hope you know that next week, DJ Giddens is going to be the one that carries the ball 10 times, and Trayshawn Ward's going to be the one that goes for 15 and 130 yards. I'm like, you know what? That's probably accurate because, again, you mentioned it, but like if you're Troy, you're looking at this going, okay, DJ Giddens is the one that got, as Chris Kleiman likes to say, the lion's share of the carries. That's probably who you're going to prepare for. So then when Trayshawn Ward comes out there and he's running sideline to sideline as opposed to in between the tackles, it completely changes the game plan. But it is amazing to me. I would not have thought that DJ Giddens ran for 130 yards. He just puts his head down and goes to work. And this kid, he doesn't say anything. He doesn't do much, but he finds a way to get the job done, and he is going to have an outstanding career at K-State, and it's only just beginning.
Yeah, it was impressive. The whole performance was impressive. But let's flip it over to the defense now. I don't even know how to sum it up. I don't.
Everybody played. I don't think there was a single time besides the first series of the game where the starters were all in together. I truly don't believe there was a single time throughout the entire game where the starters were all in at the same time besides the first series. You have to go back and double check. But Fitz, they didn't even announce the starters before the game on the big board. You know how they usually say they usually announce the starting lineup? They didn't even do that. That told me all I needed to know. Hey, we don't really have starters because everybody's going to play.
Incredible. I don't see the defensive stats on here. Why am I not seeing the defense?
It's on the back.
It's on the back
of the offensive sheet. You flip it over, and then it's the second box.
I don't mind.
Well, Austin Moore led the team
is.
with 6 tackles. 6 tackles is the leading tackler. That just tells you that everybody played.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 20, 2, 4. Played 27 guys, 29 guys on defense. 29 guys. There are 4 sacks. Austin Moore with 1, Nate Matlack with 1, Khalid Duke with 1. And I thought Uso had.
Did they not give Uso a sack? That's ridiculous.
Well, hold on. Where's the. Oh, Damian Ilalio has a half. Uso had a sack.
He definitely did. That has to be a
I don't
mistake.
see the other half anywhere. Oh, there it is. Right. Oh, they gave Uso a half.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Well, that's pretty damn good.
Did you see on Uso's sack, his pants were like basically falling down. He had the plumber's crack.
Yep,
in
yep.
His jersey. That is peak big man performance.
Oh, it's awesome. That was awesome. As a fellow fatty, well done, sir.
He was a game changer when he was in the game.
Oh, he's good.
I mean, it was noticeable. And to me, it was probably one of those things he hadn't practiced a bunch. I don't know if it was as much of, hey, you haven't practiced, so we're going to, try and take it easy as far as injury goes. I think it was more conditioning based. Let's throw you out there. Let's get you some game reps. We're going to work you back. He is the starter. Right. He is going to play. He'll probably play 70% of the snaps on defense.
Shall we say a lion share?
He looks like a lion with that hair.
Oh, my gosh.
But I think it's kind of right now, at that nose guard spot, it's him and Ilalio. Like, Javon Banks didn't play that much. It feels like it is Damian Ilalio and Uso at that spot. Mm-hmm. And I thought Damian did a good job. He
did.
He wasn't bad. And he didn't do anything, super special, but I mean, when Uso was in, he was a difference maker.
I would just like to point out that we're here in the studio, the Cats and Dogs studio. I don't know if I like that or not, but I'm going to keep using it. And we've got Big 12 After Dark going on. This is fantastic. This is going to be my favorite part about the Big 16. I hope they change the name. I love the name Big 16. It just sounds better. But we've got Wyoming and Tech in the horrible struggle here as Tech trying to save itself in overtime.
Did they miss an extra point? What happened?
Did they have to go for 2 in the second overtime?
That's probably right.
And we've got BYU groping around with Sam Houston. Well, that sounded dirty. Not being very efficient.
Brigham Young and Sam Houston, 2 historical figures going at it.
Yeah, they're not playing good football from what we saw in the first half. Let's take a little break here on the Powercat Postgame Podcast. We appreciate you listening. And another reminder, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Go Powercat, over on YouTube. Folks, I can't even tell you how much content we're putting up there. We have really pivoted into the YouTube. We're doing a lot of VIP stuff over on the site for our subscribers. But, we're doing multiple podcasts, multiple original programs now. So many of, daily deliveries and walk and talks and interviews. You can find it all at the Go Powercat YouTube channel. And again, Monday, 1:30 p.m., live every Monday through football season, The Insiders, featuring myself and 3 former K-Staters on the main cast. We've got substitutes all lined up, and I'm really excited about it. And we took a little vote. I didn't want to tell them that we were going to do it live. I asked them, is it all right? What, do you want to just do this live? And everyone said, yeah, let's do it. It'll be live every Mondays, but of course, you can always replay it at your own leisure. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing about YouTube. Well said, Fitz. We'll be right back with more of the Postgame Podcast.
GoPowerCat.com's Powercat Podcast continues after this short break.
Is your January looking dry? Get some lotion. Get a humidifier. And better yet, get Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can compare prices across local stores to get the best price on a huge selection of drinks perfect for dry January. Every single time. Non-alcoholic wines? Have a look. Ready-made mocktails? Grab a straw and order them up. Beer without the alcohol? Yep, take your pick. You can find all of them here, in the app, in that phone that's in your hand. Could it be any simpler? Nope, not a chance. So shop for great deals on all your dry January beverages or other drinks and get them delivered to your door or blanket fort Maybe. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations. And don't forget to lotion up your elbows. They're looking a little dry.
Welcome back to the Powercat Podcast.
Welcome back to the Powercat Postgame Podcast. Tim Fitzgerald and Cole Carmody here in the studio in my basement, and Ryan Gilbert is just sitting on the couch working with no friends near him, and we have one dog. I don't know where dude's left.
It's past his bedtime.
Yeah, I will resume the daily deliveries. I got to do one for Sunday. Crap, I can't go to bed yet. Maybe I'll take Sunday off.
I think that's a good idea.
I'm going to take Sunday off. And then we'll have the big debut of the change on the set on Monday.
On the 7th day, he rested.
Yes, that's how I view myself. Without saying what it is, what do you think of the change?
I like it a lot. I think it's a lot better, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, look, the lava lamps were cool, but they were hard to see.
Yeah, that's not hard. This one's not hard to see, and it matches it. It fits the aesthetic a little bit better.
Yeah, I kind of like what we did. It's going to be a big surprise. Look for that on Monday's daily delivery. Cole gave me Sunday off. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing one. We're going to have all kinds of player interviews and all that stuff up on the YouTube channel. Why do I need to show my face? We're on a pretty good roll, though. I hate to break the streak.
Well, the good part is there's football on tomorrow, so you could do a daily delivery on Monday about the weekend of football.
Yeah, we've got college games on Sunday, don't we? This is going to be amazing. Cole, what didn't go well in this game? K-State wins 45-0 over SEMO. What would you like to have seen from this team that you didn't?
I would have liked to have had a better idea of who is not going to play. So, that's, I guess you could say, a good thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anybody that separated themselves and said, this person is clearly better than this person. On the defensive side. I think on the offensive side, especially at the offensive line, we kind of got a better idea of this is who is going to play. This is who probably should play. On the defensive side, I'm still kind of, I don't know. But beyond Kobe Savage, beyond VJ Payne in the secondary, I feel confident in Will Lee and Jacob Parrish, who is going to be that third cornerback.
I know.
Who is going to be that third safety. So we've heard about Marquise Siegel, but Coach Kleiman said he was suspended after the game.
Again, he said he was suspended, but didn't say that about Keegan Johnson.
Correct. And Marquise Siegel was suited up. So that is one thing. He went through stretches. He went through individuals. And then when they went to 7-on-7, when I was down on the field, I noticed that he was just sitting there holding his helmet, so he never went in. Makes sense. But, again, I'm kind of on the defense all right, so it's good that you have all these guys that can play and fill in. But where's the cutoff? And maybe that's just because SEMO is just not a quality opponent for K-State at this time. So maybe we'll know more with Troy and who they roll out there. But, I for example, is Jack Fabris going to play? Is that actually going to be a kid that plays? I think
he's going to play.
And if he does, then great. Then he's separated himself. But, I look at him and then I look at Wesley Fair, and they both were on the field for pretty much the same amount of snaps. And so one played in the first half, one played in the second half. Does that mean,
Wyoming just beat Texas Tech.
Wow. Look at that. That's definitely not good for figuring out the levels of this conference. But
hey, remember, folks, when I said Texas Tech would be in the Big 12 Championship? They can still get there, but this is not good. Not good at all. Wow.
I'm telling you, that's Vanderbilt K-State levels of bad as far as the result goes.
Yep. Okay, we talked about the running backs, Deuce Vaughn. They made up the production, just like, Chris Kleiman's been saying. But let's talk about these corners. They put two corners in the NFL. Julius Brents, of course, was a second-round pick. Mm-hmm. The Colts and Echo Boydo made the Chiefs practice squad. And I'm confident he'll play. He just needs to mature a little bit into the role. I thought the corners were good.
I thought they were great.
I think Will Lee's going to be really good.
He is a baby Julius Brents.
He really is.
He's thicker now than Julius Brents was last year. He's not as tall, as lengthy, but he's thicker. And I asked him after the game, I said, I think my exact words were, Will, you are a hitter. Is that something you take pride in? And he said, I'd like to play on the defensive line if I could.
Did he say that?
He was like, I like to play on the defensive line and go down and hit people and make them feel me. So
nice.
It doesn't surprise me that he has that mantra, which is something that Julius Brents didn't have his first year on campus.
No.
So if you have that mentality,
Julius Brents was not a physical football player until his senior year.
And the fact that Willie has that now is only going to make him better because he will learn how to cover in this conference. So, yeah, I thought he was really good. I thought Jacob Parrish was outstanding. There were times where he should have had at least one interception in that game. So, yeah, I think you're going to be fine with those two guys at corner. They didn't get tested as far as speed really goes. I don't know if they'll get tested against Troy. They will get tested against Missouri. I mean, say all we want to say about Missouri, but in week 3, you're going up against Luther Burden, you're going up against Mekhi Miller, you're going up against Theo Weiss, who was at Oklahoma, now he's at Mizzou. Those are 3 receivers who will test you, so they will be tested in week 3. That, to me, is going to be the tell-all. Who plays in the secondary in week 3? Maybe not so much in week 2, but who plays in week 3? I think I'll know more about those cornerbacks then.
So we've talked about the 6th-round pick, Deuce Vaughn. We've talked about the 2nd-round pick, Julius Brents. But the 1st-round pick, Felix Anudike-Uzomah, also with the Chiefs, we've been telling people they're going to be okay. And Khalid Duke had a good game. They're basically rotating their 4 guys, including Stufflebean, defensive end. They're always fresh. And Nate Matlack told us after the game, I love it. We're always fresh. And, I mean, it's just amazing to me. Brendan Mott just picked up where he left off. They're good at defensive end. They're really good at defensive end and lost a guy to a 1st-round pick in the NFL. I just almost feel like something is cooking here. When you have this talent in your freshman class, you have that kind of talent on the field, you're plugging in players, you're losing guys in the NFL and not even skipping a beat, one bit. If they back this up with another recruiting class or 2, man, I don't want to get out over my skis with a prediction, but what we saw today was a really good football team and a team that seems to have learned from last year when they messed around and weren't as focused as they needed to be against Tulane and got beat. Colin Klein set aside that old philosophy that Bill Snyder taught him to be conservative in games. You don't show what you don't need to show, and said, the hell with that. We're going to hang points up on teams. We're going to go win games. We're going to give them a lot to prepare for. And he's done it. He did it in this game. Troy's got a lot to prepare for, and you know what? They're going to prepare for a lot of stuff they're not going to see.
The thing is, I don't care how good Troy is, and we're going to have all of next week to talk about that game. This is a Kansas State team right now that has the mentality. And before I say this, I don't want to make it seem like the team last year didn't have that mentality. But this group, I feel like they have the mentality where they just roll out there, give you the double middle finger, and say, I am better than you, and I'm going to prove it. And I feel like tonight we kind of got that vibe, right? There was a little bit the first quarter where it was like, they're not really doing it. But then it was like, you know what? I'm better than you, and I'm going to show you that I'm better than you. And this team is, as long as they can get off to a decent start on Saturday next week, they're going to roll, and it's going to roll right into Missouri the following week. But, yeah, I'm super, super high on this group. And you said team. Fitz, I'm going to say program. This was a program win, and to me, that's why this is so encouraging. I haven't been this encouraged after a first game in a long time because everybody contributed. You want to talk about the defense. Any guesses who the 4th leading tackler was without looking at your stats?
No idea.
Asa Newsome, the true freshman.
Incredible.
Came in the first quarter, and he had finished with 4 tackles, but again, that just shows you 4 tackles is the 4th leading tackler. So everybody contributed on defense, and that's going to be a kid who you need to keep an eye on because he is going to be a star.
Yeah, it's just this class is just loaded. It's unbelievable what they put out there. And I'll just bring this up. It's kind of awkward because he didn't come to K-State, but they had Dylan Edwards at one point. And I think Dylan's at the right place with the right coach for him. So, I mean, I didn't understand the Notre Dame thing. I get the Colorado thing with Coach Prime. Mm-hmm. The kid scores 4 touchdowns, right? 4?
Yeah.
I mean, what? As a true the evaluation skills of this coaching staff are off the charts. I mean, nobody wanted Jack Fabris, and he's going to play as a freshman as a safety. He's just like slid right in there. They really do a good job with that. I'm really excited about this season. The test gets significantly bigger next week. Troy won their opener.
48-30 over Stephen F. Austin.
Yeah, what is it with these Texas schools with people's names? It's just kind of odd. It's just like,
Bob Alamo.
Yeah, Bob Alamo needs his own. I don't know. He doesn't have his own school. He should.
If you understand that reference, by the way.
That you're a loyal listener to the podcast. The Bob Alamo. Yeah, they did win 48-30, so maybe they had some defensive issues, but they put up some points. Troy's a good team. I'm just going to say it. Troy might be better than Missouri. Mm-hmm. Missouri looked okay in their opener. They look like they've got a little bit more offense. Apparently, Eli Drinkwitz is trying to set up his quarterback with his underage daughter.
How weird is that?
But anyhow, it was a great night at the stadium. I didn't really get a good judgment on the stripe out.
It was...
Here's my suggestion.
It was okay.
Here's my suggestion to K-State.
I like the thought. It was a thought that counts.
Next year, when they have the day game like they will next weekend with Troy, make that a whiteout. Mm-hmm. Let everyone wear white. I think the big winners today were Kansas State football and the people that got to wear white T-shirts if they were in the sun side of the stadium. If you were on the west side, you were in the shade. If you're on the east side, you got scorched well into the second half if you're in the upper deck.
Yeah. Shout out to the students for showing up, though, by the way.
God, the crowd was fantastic.
It was.
The most interesting thing is Trayshawn Ward came in from Florida State, and he was like, I didn't expect that. I didn't know what to, but he was impressed by the crowd. For 50,000 fans, the volume output from that crowd is always significant. It's amazing.
And it's only going to get better as the games get better.
Well, it was a fun product. It was a fun game. Yes, SEMO's FCS. They're ranked 11th in the preseason poll. But K-State went out, took care of business, and absolutely did what the Wildcats needed to do in game one. And as far as I can tell, stayed 100% healthy.
That's the key. You know what they say? The best kind of availability, Fitz? You know what it is?
What?
Availability.
Yes. I feel like I'm doing a podcast with Yogi Berra. The best kind of availability. Okay. That's it for this. Make sure you listen to the Insiders. Did you have any final thoughts? I just started in.
The Insiders, not to be confused with the classic 1980s movie.
No. But I could be. We maybe will reenact that movie via StreamYard.
That is the 80s, right?
I don't know. I'm so old. I don't even know. I was young in the 80s. I still don't know. That's it for the podcast. Hope you enjoyed this. And this is the way we're going to be doing it. Cole and I on Saturday nights and Saturday afternoons and maybe occasionally Sunday morning if we get particularly lazy. I don't know what we're going to do when I'm in Vegas and you're in Austin, but we'll figure that out later in the football season. We appreciate everyone listening. Make sure you're subscribing to GoPowerCat.com, 50% off through, I think, Tuesday evening. Make sure you take advantage of that. Let's get you on board so you can get all the inside scoop at GoPowerCat. Make sure you subscribe to that channel. Make sure you're subscribing to this podcast. Go to your favorite podcast platform, whether it's Apple or Spotify or I strangely use Amazon because I've got this chick that lives in the house with me. Not my wife, but Alexa. Yeah, she heard me. But she's going to talk in a second, so we're going to stop now. Thanks for listening. We appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Powercat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
The calendar has flipped, which means it's time to join us on Fantasy Baseball Today, part of the CBS Sports Podcast Network. Join Scott White, Chris Towers, and me, Frank Stanfield, 3 times per week in January to kick off our 2024 Fantasy Baseball Prep. We're talking rankings, strategy, tiers, prospects, mock drafts, and everything in between. Make sure to download and follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Odyssey app, and everywhere else podcasts are found.